Hey there. How are you? And welcome to my video that I'm doing for Lionsgate. I'm just going to cover the screen so I can't see myself. Makes it a bit easier, although I've got my phone recording as well, so I can still see myself a bit there, but it's easier to feel like I'm talking to someone else and not just to myself. Um, so yeah, this is me coming back to you after a wee while. I had taken some time to really recover my energy levels. I completely exhausted myself after I had my summit. I also went to Rarotonga and hosted some women there with a friend who runs a retreat business. And so we hosted 8 women there, and it was very beautiful, but also very exhausting as well. And I didn't listen to my body and pushed myself further than I should have gone with doing too many activities. So it's just a very long story, but I basically wore myself out to the point of adrenal fatigue and then nervous breakdown as well. Yeah, and just extreme overwhelm and highly sensitive to everything around me. So I burnt myself out. I hit a wall and I needed to sleep a lot. And it was winter. It's winter here. So I'm based in New Zealand. And yeah, it's definitely a time of hibernation and reflection. And this is what this is about today as well. So with me getting back into doing things and recording, I want to create this as a meditation as well for everyone. But I don't want to put too much pressure on myself to have that done for Lionsgate. We'll see how that comes together. But today I want to talk about a process that happened for me, like an activation, a meditation that came in for me at the beginning of the year, earlier this year, that I think now with reflection really catalyzed a lot of what happened for me. And so this was on the 11th of March. I sat down to do a meditation. So I've been in an online school, an online magical learning space, and I had been processing and going through a lot already with bringing up different emotions and different things to look at. And I like to write everything down, like my process of getting to the point of having a guided message come in and or whatever you want to call it, some idea that popped into my head and I went with it and I wrote everything down. And so yeah, I like to set myself up. Everyone's different with how they set everything up for doing their meditation or ritual or yeah, going into practice with channeling. So for me, I was at this point in time using a bit of plant medicine. So I set myself up with that. And then that usually takes an hour and a half to 2 hours to kick in. So in that time, I'm getting myself sorted with setting the space, so candles and getting all my magical items out, books, oracle cards, crystals, whatever is interesting me at that time book-wise, and getting myself set up in that way. I like to light a lot of candles because we all love candles, but I find that when they flicker, they help to put you, or for me personally, put me into a trance state as well. So that constant flickering in the room when it's only the candlelight, really helps to kind of get into that altered state. So when I'm wanting to go into a deeper process, I make sure I have a lot of candles going around the room. And then I have 2 YouTube channels. So I have one YouTube channel that's playing on the TV, and that is a like a theta healing music or some kind of meditation music playing. And I like to write down what I'm listening to. So this one on this night was called Beyond the Veil meditation music. And then on my laptop, I will be playing like a replay from the online priestess school that I was in. Or on this night, I was watching a Damien Eccles Practical Magic Grounding YouTube video. And so I set myself up with that, and then I sit down and I I watch whatever I'm watching on YouTube, and if something is interesting or whatever I'm watching sparks interest and I want to look up something else and that's interesting, like I'll just follow the train of whatever interests me on that night. And if something comes up which is like an obvious block, or I have an aha moment around something, then I might do some oracle cards and do a clearing with a pendulum, and then I will just keep doing what interests me until I have something come in. And sometimes nothing does, but when taking the plant medicine, it always does. And so on this night, so it took an hour. Once I started playing the YouTube video, it took pretty much an hour before something started coming in for me. And so I want to make this channeling into a meditation, and throughout it, I think in the middle of it, I explained the state that I was in, the feeling that was coming through for me that was very potent. And the feeling was an ever-expanding heart, like my whole heart center. If you can hear my dad cursing upstairs in this video, they're watching a sports game. Soccer is on at the moment. I don't know. Maybe they're watching that. So if you can hear cursing and yelling, that's what's happening. And so I called this meditation the ever-expanding heart, because that was the feeling that I got to through this process. And so part of the YouTube video that I was watching, he was talking about, Damien Eccles was talking about the grounding process of grounding your aura, grounding your energy field and yourself into the earth. And he was explaining this as in like you are emptying yourself out of unwanted energy and seeing it leave your body into the ground, and visualize everything being pulled out from your body, from the top, squeezing it down, squeezing every last bit out into the earth, and seeing it leave like grey smoke. And in priestess school, we had a process that we use, and I love to use this visual as well, for anything that I'm setting up, because I find it really powerful, is setting up 4 magnets when you're visualizing, when I'm going into meditation. When I'm first starting to set myself up, I'll have 4 magnets before I go into any other process or breathe into my body. 4 magnets out from my shoulders and front and back, and just seeing this grey smoke leaving my body. And then from those magnets, a cord down into the earth, just to draw all of this unwanted energy away. And I prefer to say unwanted rather than negative. It's just like adverse or unwanted or not serving at this time energy that's leaving. So there's no judgment. It's not positive or negative. It's just not serving at this time. It's ready to leave. And so it's like this, like you can kind of release it a bit more. It's like, it's not serving me. I can release, and you can see, and you don't need to know what it is that's leaving. And so in my mind, as he's talking, I'm combining the process that he's speaking with the process that I already use. And so at this point, when I've started to write everything down here, where I've started to really channel everything and write down what's coming through for me, I pause the video. So, and I like to write down, not that I've gone back and looked at what he was talking about at that point, but yeah, it was 59 minutes and 30 seconds is when I stopped the video. And the good thing about having two music sources or video sources set up is when I pause the video of whatever I'm watching that's bringing in this awareness, the meditation music or the theta healing or the frequency music is still playing. So it's keeping me in that state of receiving. It's not completely breaking kind of like the trance state that I've set up and got myself into. And so I've done this now. When I first started doing this, I would have awareness come in that was quite expansive, and I could feel it expanding, almost like a bubble, like blowing a bubble with bubble gum. Like I could feel that expansion, and then it wouldn't even pop. It would collapse, and I would lose it, and I could feel that it was profound to me. I could feel that it was like gonna level me up. I could feel that it was but it was gone, and I couldn't get it right. And so it took multiple times of doing this process, and each time it would have been a different awareness come in that I could grasp or almost kind of have a realization about myself or how I'm acting or what's being shown in my reality, or why is shit happening, or why am I feeling terrible about this? Why are things, but then I got to the point where the bubble would kind of like burst and the awareness would come in. But I couldn't get to the point of writing it down, because as soon as I broke that concentration to write it down or do a voice message on my phone, it would go as well, like it was gone. So it took a lot of time. I'm doing it over and over again, and then to be able to hold myself in the state where I could write everything down. Not to say it's overly legible. It's taken a little bit of like going through and correcting words and figuring out what I was trying to say. But yeah, it's it's a process of building yourself up to that point. The plant medicine definitely helps with like even more expansion. And so when I get into these states, like it's like you're not guiding yourself on a meditation, deciding what's going to happen now. Like I'm feeling like this inner childhood trauma is what's coming up. What do I need to look at? It's not like that. It's just like the journey is unfolding and you're feeling the emotions and it's just flowing. The ideas are flowing, the visuals are flowing, and it's just very fluid, and there's no conscious mind trying to direct it. It's completely like fluid, is very much the word. So when I paused the video, I was reading it the other day, and I think the word that he must have said in the video, from what I've written down, was like squeezing all this energy, unwanted energy, adverse energy. You're squeezing it out of your aura, and he used the description like a Coke can, when you like crush a Coke can, like imagining your aura crush in as close as it can, but it's like because it's squeezing anything negative out of you, so that when you fill it back up and expand it with light, so you're literally squeezing and draining anything unwanted out of you. And like I said before, I've done this process before, and I'm usually like, yeah, little wispy bits of smoke here and there, like, oh, just have a little bit of something to release. You know, which there's going to be a lot more than that. But this was intense. Like as soon as this started, and I think the word that he used was void, because I was literally, all of a sudden, I was just like hovering in space and blackness, and all of the and I was just like, fuck is happening? Pause the video, theta music's still happening, the candles are still flickering, I'm still in this trance state. And I could just feel everything draining out of me, like anything unwanted, and so much and so much and so much just leaving. And so this is where I started writing. This draining process is more like the space where time doesn't exist, and the body and mind feel weightless. So it just got to that point where the suction and the vacuum of this kind of negative, you know, yeah, you're channeling, I wrote negative down, and I said you don't want to use that word because non-judgment of the emotions, but you know, it's the suction of what's no longer serving reveals a state of pure love and pure bliss. And so, but the suction was immense. It was immense, and I could feel everything that wasn't serving at that time really release and leave me. And at this point in time, I had started to see someone that I was interested in, and so there was already all these emotions kind of coming up around connection and around kind of past lovers, and reflecting on that. And so there was a lot of like draining away and releasing of like expectations, and just this kind of release, right? And so it really left you in a state of pure love and pure bliss. And like whenever I go into any of these, but this one especially, like feel like my heart chakra is like the size of a dinner plate. I feel like my crown chakra is the size of a dinner plate, but then eventually I just feel like there's like nothing there's nothing left of me. I'm just like one with energy and the universe and whatever. So it was like this pure love, pure bliss expanding in my chest, like this huge expansion, and this kind of like really deep connection. And I can feel it coming in now. And at this point in time, I'd been working with Sekhmet. I've been working with her for just over a year at this point, and so she was coming in as well. And so I've written, the breath of Sekhmet has been ignited in my sun center, my solar heart, and my Tiphereth center. So like this whole area was so activated, my solar plexus, just like that fire in my belly, that confidence center, and then the love and the Tiphereth center, which is in the middle, which was just like all so activated and just so expansive. And then I've written, the chamber of my deepest dreams of me has been ignited. The chamber of my deepest dreams for me. And then I've written, I can see now why Buddhist monks can sit for an eternity feeling into the nirvana of the soul, this expansion of consciousness and the bliss of an ever-expanding heart. So yeah, I was really feeling into, and it was really overwhelming almost as well, like feeling that much love expand. But then I've written as well, like it's just like this natural ebb and flow that we go through in life of feeling good, but then like almost like not allowing ourselves to feel into that so much, because out of guilt, or it's too much, or am I good enough to feel this amount of love? And so I've got here in my scribbly channeling writing, within this nirvana, this Shangri-La, the Shambhala that you feel in your heart, the heart manages to find sadness in the expansion of love. And there's a need to suspend nirvana, descend again into the human connection, to bond with love and openness with someone, to feel pain, sorrow, and a deeper connection, to move each other through the darkest nights. So this is really, for me, felt into like, when I got to that ever expanding heart, and yeah, it was ever expanding, but it was ever expanding until there was an awareness around what I needed to work through next. Like when you get to your next level, there's a next devil, like whatever level you're getting to in your self-concept, in your job, in your love, in your relationship, in your awareness around how you are in the world, there's going to be another thing to work through. And that's all about learning about ourselves and about the world around us, and about just learning, constantly learning. And so for me, and I didn't realize this at the time, but on reflection, like I have felt like the sadness within that expansion was the knowing of what the next thing was for me to work through. And so I feel like it was because I had started to engage with someone that I was attracted to and that I really liked. And so that brought up these feelings of wanting to connect with someone in this way, like to be able to do this ritual space together. And everyone goes through, you know, who are doing this kind of ritual work, or whatever you want to call it, magic, or just meditating, or whatever words you want to use to describe it, right? But you're creating a space that is safe, that you can process through what is coming up. And to be able to do that with someone else was really coming in for me, that you feel safe with them, and you feel like seen and heard and understood by them. And then you can sit together in this and work through things. And you might do a different ritual together. You might be in the same room. You might be in different rooms doing different things. And then I think if you were in the same room, it would be better. Like you had a big enough space where you could agree on the same theta healing music, but maybe I'm watching my video over here that's getting me to my state, and they're over there doing whatever ritual they're doing, whether they're using runes or tarot cards or pendulum or just sitting and meditating, however, you know, and you're getting to a state together where you are leveling up and processing emotions and allowing yourself, I'm gonna cry. You're allowing yourself to be seen in that vulnerable state of like surrendering a part of yourself, like surrendering a layer of yourself that you no longer need, a layer of yourself that maybe you hold in shame, maybe you hold that in there's fear around being seen, maybe you're holding on to anger, resentment, maybe there's guilt, maybe there's grief, and you know there could be a communication with your partner within that. and maybe there isn't. Maybe it's just holding space with each other, and through that process of like a few hours, you know, an evening of doing this together, you are sitting in your own space, and then you're communicating when you need to be held, you need to cry and embrace and hold space for each other, or if you need to speak and be heard, and the other person needs to be speak and be heard, and cry and probably cry. Then that is like that sacred space and that sacred union, and this is what this is. So this is what this is. There is the need to suspend nirvana, that Shangri-La, that ever-expanding heart. There's a need to suspend that and descend again into the human connection, to bond with love and openness with someone, to feel pain, sorrow, and a deeper connection, to move each other through the darkest nights. Together we clean and clear, we set intentions, we build together, expanding beyond the limits of everyday thinking, mastering rituals and sinking together. Our magic of togetherness, the magnitude of love is so hard to bear, where the next layer of self-doubt, of shame, of fear is free to be released. And the death of these aspects, seen from this new space of love and expansion, these layers of trauma are allowed to be released, surrendering to the emotion, letting it run its course, and leave your body feeling lighter and feeling lighter. And you do this on your own, but this is like, to be able to have that connection with someone and to do this process together and be seen in that space of that surrendering. Like, what the fuck? Like, imagine being able to do that with someone. Like, your connection of love and understanding and empathy towards each other, and acceptance of each other being able to move through those processes, and allowing allowing it all to come up and be released without shutting it down. And no, don't feel like that, it's okay, I love you, but like, I love you, but let it out. Like, let's fucking scream if we need to, right? Let's fucking get it out so that we can embrace and feel tender and soft and nurturing and connected with each other, and come to another level of understanding with each other. And so, yeah, it's about this deeper connection is what it really came down to. And so on this night, I went into this process not knowing at all what was going to come up, right? It's just like guided by what you're putting into your field, what you're feeling that day, what you've been processing that week, that month, what's been in your conscious awareness, to really work through. And who knows, if I decided to watch something different, you know, something else might have come through, or maybe this is exactly what needed to come through and it didn't matter what I watched or what I set up. Like, this was the channel that needed to come in for me at that time. And so at that point, so I got through that point of feeling that expansion and that ebb and that flow of like, what is the next layer to work through, and coming back down to earth to work through something else. And it really brings up another layer of something to look at. And now when I look back on this, I feel like my overwhelm and like a bit of a breakdown that I had, like overexerting myself, being completely exhausted, pushing myself too far, was not valuing myself enough in how I was presenting myself in the world, and what how I was pushing myself too much to be too much for everyone else and not enough for myself. And so this is bringing it back to that ever expanding heart and that ever expanding love, but for yourself, that acceptance and feeling whole already and complete already. Like, there is shit to work through, but we are not broken. Like, we are whole and already, and that allows the awareness of what can come up next. And so when I got to this point, I finished at 11 p.m. and there was actually an earthquake right as I finished doing this meditation, which was really trippy. And I thought that this download was over. I can't remember if I had turned like the meditation, like theta healing music off. But I had started to get up and walk around my room. Maybe I was like putting candles out or getting a drink of water, and the channel was not over. The channel was not over. The rest of it is quite sexual, but it is because that this is the place we want to get to. Like, what came through is like, it's feeling that intense sexual connection and that love for someone, that you can kind of bear yourself in yourself. This is me basically with someone, and to feel vulnerable, and that vulnerable that that you want to have that connection of that divine feminine and masculine, and whether you're a male and a female, or it doesn't matter. It's that the polarity of the energy that you're bringing in, and feeling seen and heard and embraced and connected and understood within that union is so powerful. And if you think sex is amazing already, then I feel like if you can get to this point and then, you've had that evening of ritual, you've gone through, maybe the two of you have gone through waves of releasing and realizations and understanding and speaking your truth, or feeling seen and heard and understood and embracing and feeling love and feeling the ever expanding heart, and getting to the point where you are just lying and embracing with each other and feeling like truly loved. And then you can move into the sexual union naturally, because that is where this is leading. This is this feelings that seen and heard and understood. That, yes. So that was the after channel of the channel that I thought was finished. And so, yeah, I want to work that into a meditation. I feel like this is really appropriate for Lionsgate as well, because it's like expanding yourself and shedding your like deepest layers of self-doubt, of not feeling worthy, which is where I'm at the moment, is like not feeling worthy. Well, I do. But we swing, right, in layers of it. And every time you descend, when you re-emerge, there's another layer of power and understanding of the self, and understanding of how we operate in the world, and why we're bringing the things into our field that we're bringing in. And so, yeah, I just felt that was really powerful visuals to bring through for you. I am working on bringing in more opportunities to do group sessions, or whatever it looks like, coming up, doing some more oracle cards and other bits and pieces that I want to bring forward. But it's just still kind of being gentle with myself and not putting too much pressure to completely put things out there, because I'm still working on just recalibrating my nervous system and making sure that I'm not overwhelming myself, while I still come back into myself and feel more like myself again. So yeah, I'd like to do another summit coming up, but I feel like it's like not putting too much out there like as a promise of what's coming up. It's like I need to feel into it naturally at this point, while I'm still building and finding my way, and getting my energy levels back. So yes. Um, so yeah, any comments underneath, I would love. And yeah, I think it's really about helping each other expand into, yeah, bringing awareness into these other layers that are ready to be shed, to work through and develop better communication for ourselves as well. So yeah, yeah. All right. Well, I hope that you're all well, and yeah, it was lovely to share with you. And yeah, I'll see you again soon. Okay, bye.